Hello, precious friend. My name is Brenda Campbell. I'm an artist and a CZT, and I'd like to welcome you to Mindful Monday. In this video, I guide you through the 8 steps of the Zentangle Method of drawing. And it doesn't matter if you're drawing along or just watching this video, although I do hope you'll draw along. This video will slow you down, bring you some mindfulness and some zen. So let me give a shout out again to all my new subscribers. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'd like to talk about mindfulness for just a moment. Mindfulness is simply being in the moment. Not letting your mind wander off and think about other things, just staying in the moment, paying attention. Are you talking with someone? Are you listening? Or are you thinking ahead, trying to figure out what your response is going to be? That's not mindful. Mindful is being in the moment, listening to the other person. And that's just one example. The Zentangle Method helps with mindfulness because it's simply a practice that helps our mind stay in the moment. Every line we draw, we're only paying attention to that line. We don't care what we drew a minute ago. We don't look forward to what we're doing in the next moment. We're simply focusing on each and every stroke. And that's how we find that mindfulness and that zen. Today I'm going to begin the 8 steps, as I always do, with a breathing exercise. Step 1 is gratitude and appreciation. I'd like to start with 3 deep breaths, breathing in, and as you breathe in, fill your lungs, straighten up your spine, and today I'm going to add for you to lift your shoulders up to your ears on the inhale. It's a lot to remember, I know, but it'll come easy. On the exhale, exhale slowly and fully, and bring your shoulders back down. And with each exhale, release a little bit more, bring your shoulders down a little bit further. So that's how we're going to go through our breathing exercise today. So let's go ahead and begin. Taking a deep breath in, lifting your shoulders up to your ears, and then releasing down, exhaling fully. And again, inhale and exhale. And again, bringing your shoulders up and exhaling, releasing all that tension down with your shoulders. And now just let your breathing fall into its natural rhythm. And I'll ask you, what are you grateful for right now? Once you know what that is, and don't take a lot of time, just grab that first thing that popped into your mind and feel that gratitude. How does that feel? Does it make your heart warm? And once you have that feeling, I want you to remember this and bring it into the practice with you today. If you find yourself getting a little flustered, it's okay. Just stop. Take a breath. Remember that feeling of gratitude. And then begin. begin. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to step 2. Step 2, we use our pencil for, and it is to make a dot in each of the 4 corners of our tile. Step 3 is a border, which we create simply by connecting those dots. Step 4 is a string. Today's string is a little different, but it's still pretty easy. We're going to draw 3 half circles coming out from the side. There's my first one. There's my second one. And there's my third one. So this is what our string looks like. Now we're finished with our pencil. We can put that down and we can pick up our pen. Today I'm going to be using a Sakura Micron 01 pen. It is the one pen with the tiny nib for me, but that's okay. I'm going to use it, take advantage of the opportunity to practice loosening up my firm grip and drawing a little more lightly. And I'm going to start by filling in the spaces in the background between all 3 of our half circles. And we're going to use a grid pattern today. That grid pattern is a very easy one. It's called bales. So we're going to start with a grid, and I'm going to do a grid on the diagonal of our tile. Drawing behind our half circles. And then drawing again the opposite direction. We're just making our grid at this point. Okay, now bales, once you've got your basic grid, bales is a C shape, a very shallow C shape that makes what we call a rice or seed shape. And every line in our grid, we're going to put one of these shapes around. I'm using the drawing behind method as I get to my half circles. So my seed shapes stop at that half circle, but they're not complete. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to draw these shapes. So just work with it. This is one of the easiest tangles. It's also really fun. At least I think it is. So I've got all of them going in one direction, and now I'm going to go do the rest in the other direction. This tangle bales can be decorated inside each square if you're so inclined, but today I'm going to keep it a very simple shape without decorating it too much, because I want my 3 half circle tangles to kind of take center stage. So there's bales. That's all there is to it. It's very simple. So the next thing I want to do is to draw an aura, but not on the line, just inside the line of each of my half circles. In fact, I'm going to aura that line as well. There. Now I'm going to do 1 tangle in 2 of these 3, and the third one is going to have a different tangle, but each is going to have kind of an edge or a border that is the same. I'm going to make this aura on the other side. Okay, so I've got my line dropped away from the pencil line, my string, and I've got that line with an aura. So the next step is to go ahead and draw some orbs or circles. Now, I always start in the center when I've got a shape like this, just because it's a little easier for me. And another tip, which I don't always follow, but if you want to avoid having a separate line or spot where your lines touch, start your line at the side of the last one. So I start midway and then I make my orb. I'm turning my tile as I go because I'm trying to kind of go around the circle. Okay, so there's the first one. Now I'm going to do the second one. Okay, and here's my last one. Okay, so now I have each one of my half circles with a ring of orbs around the outside, and that's perfect. So I'm going to add tangles in these spaces that are going to be dimensional. But what I mean by that is that the shading is going to make them give you a shape, a three-dimensional shape. So the first one is a tangle called mirror, and I'm going to put that not in the one that I drew around the corner, but the other two. And if you didn't draw one in the corner, don't worry about it. It's okay. So mirror, and I'm going to put a link to the tangle mirror, a video of me just simply drawing mirror. But it begins with a curvy line in the space. So I'm going to do that on that one. And that on that one. Okay, now mirror, let's just do one of these at a time. Just kind of looking at it as I spin it around here. The trick with mirror is that along this line, we are going to draw diagonal lines that aura each other. So we've got those lines on one side, and now we're going to make a point out of them, if you will, by drawing the next lines on the diagonal, but going in the opposite direction and auraing those. So that's our first one. And we're going to do the same thing with this one. Sure, I get them going the right direction. Okay. Now, the third tangle today is static. And this is another one that's very dimensional. And I am going to have it start at the point, because mine's on the corner. If yours is not on the corner, no worries. You just start in what you believe to be the center point of your half circle. But I'm starting in this corner, and I'm drawing a line straight out. And then I'm going to go back to the corner and draw another line. So it almost looks like skinny pieces of pie that I'm drawing. And I'm only going to put 3 lines in there. That gives me enough to get started. And again, we are simply drawing those diagonal lines. Now, one of the things I like about this string for these tangles is that it gives me an opportunity to show you how to draw a tangle like mirror, for example, here. That's not a ribbon. oftentimes that's how we start with that tangle. But you don't need to have that shape to begin with necessarily. So anyway, that's one of the things. And the other is the way we're going to shade this makes it really pop, and I'm looking forward to that. And one more. Let's go this way. Okay. I have all of my lines drawn. I've got 3 patterns, tangles, if you will. I've got bales in the background. I've got mirror here and here. And I've got static here with a row of orbs at the end. So I'm done with my pen for now. I'm going to put that down. We are moving on to step 6, which is the shading. Now, you'll notice that because I drew my bales right to the pencil line, they don't actually go all the way to the orbs that I drew inside the pencil line. And if that bothers you, then you can go ahead and fill those in. Today, I'm not going to fill those in because I just want to see how it looks. I believe we'll get enough contrast with our pencil that we won't need to add any more. So anyway, I'm starting by shading mirror, and I'm only shading one side of our curvy line, and I'm using the side next to the border as the side that I'm shading. Okay, so there we have that. And now I'm going to use my tortillon to blend that out. Come over here to this one. Right. And then next thing we're going to do, we're going to continue and finish our 2 mirror tangles. I'm adding a very light line right inside our aura line. And then I'm going to add these little graphite smiles to the bottom of my orbs. Now, you notice I'm just turning my tile. I'm not concerning myself with making sure that I have the same side of each orb on each half circle, because we don't really care about a light source. Okay, so I'll be done with that for the moment. Come back to my tortillon. First, I will do this line. And then I will go in and do these pearls. And I'm just blending out the graphite I put down, and I'm leaving a light spot on the opposite side of this orb. And that's how we get our dimension, this one. I think I'm done shading. Mirror, the two mirror half circles. Now we're going to come over to the static and we're going to do this one. Now this one is every other triangle, because that's what we've got here, is going to have the shading. And I am just bringing what's left over on my tortillon over to the sides without the graphite, just to give it a border under that oral line. Okay. I am going to use my string line to go ahead and kind of ground that. I'm going to blend these out a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to come back with my pencil and I'm going to put my smiles in my orbs. And now I'll blend those out. I'm just kind of blending out my string line now. I don't always do that, but sometimes it's just an easy way to kind of finish it off, to work with that border and that string line, but this is just the border line. That's okay. Now, bales, we could shade a whole different way, but I am wanting bales to fall back and be our background. I want it to take a secondary place to these three half circles that we drew. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to add graphite underneath each of these half circles. And I just put most of my graphite in that corner between that triangle, between each one of these. And I'll go around and do all of them. There's going to be plenty of graphite, so if I just put it in the corners, I should be okay. Because I'll be able to blend it out from there. And I can always add more. Shading, they say, is best done in layers. I don't always take the time to do another layer, but sometimes I do. And sometimes I don't need another layer because I've already put down too much graphite, because I tend to have a heavy hand there as well. Okay, I've got my graphite down. Now I've got my tortillon. And I am going to start blending this out. What we're trying to do here is give some separation between our half circle and the background. So we're adding a pretty fair amount, a pretty heavy shadow here. This dark shadow is a nice contrast to that light spot on each of our orbs. You always get the most contrast when you have the darkest dark against the lightest light. That's usually black against white. We do get a lot of contrast when we do use our areas of solid black, but this is a good way also to get it. And I try to think about that as I'm putting my tiles together and shading. Where will I want the light spot to be? Can I find something that can be light against my dark shading? It's all about the drama and the contrast. That's what makes everybody's art look the most interesting. Well, it's one of the things. But anyway, enough about that. What you see me doing at the end of each is taking the side of my tortillon, more on the side, if you will, and trying to blend that out a little more so it's not such a harsh line. Okay. Now something I think is missing on here, and that's a little bit of contrast with some solid black. Now I could do a couple things. I could add it to our bales, but I really, again, want that to fall back to the background. So instead, I'm going to come in here between each of my orbs that are next to my aura line. And I'm just going to fill that in with some solid black. And that really does seem to make a lot of difference. So we'll go ahead and do that on all three. And that should be just enough solid black to give us that nice drama. Just noticed that I picked up, this is not my 01, this is my PN pen. PN pens have a little bit of a fatter nib, but that's okay. That actually makes this go a little faster. I could do this with my 01 if I needed to, so use what you have. Okay, I like it. I've got some dark drama there. I've got this nice dimension on the three tangles the 2 tangles that we chose to put in our 3 half circles. So that's kind of nice. All I have left now is to do my chop. Go back to my 01 for that. Now, where do I want to do my chop? This is pretty full, but I think if I come over here, I can do it so it looks like it's coming behind. It's hard to see. Oh well. I'm going to add a little shading. I don't know if you ever do that, but sometimes I do. Add a little shading for my chop. Okay, well, it's a little hard to recognize, but I don't really care that much. And so step 7 is to initial. I put my chop in there and sign. I'm going to sign on the back. You can date it. I like to add my tangles. So the first one we did was bales. Then we did mirror. Then we did static. So 3 tangles. That is step 7. And now step 8 is just to sit back and admire your art. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. And if you're still here, I really, really thank you for hanging in there with me. I hope you drew along. If you did, I hope you'll post them if you post your work, and just tag me at Brenda Campbell or Angel Whispers Art. And I think that's about it. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful week. And until next time, be you and be happy.